For today's lab, we're going to be looking at the relationship between voltage, current, and resistance. This relationship is expressed in what we call Ohm's Law, which you will be deriving by the end of the experiment. So first of all, let's talk about the setup. So we're not going to use batteries. Batteries vary quite a bit, so we're going to use these power supplies. And then on this little circuit board, I have a resistor mounted. You can see that this one says a 10 ohm resistance. Look around that way. And so we got a 10 ohm resistor, a power supply, and a multimeter. So the first thing you want to do is set up the power supply to turn on. If we look at the current settings right here, we want to crank both of those all the way to the right. Then you'll notice we have a voltage setting, which we can vary the voltage. You want to take the fine voltage measurement, which is right here, put it so it's adjusted about in the middle, and then take the coarse, all right, and knock it all the way down. Do this before you plug anything in or set anything up, because we don't want it to be set at like 30 volts, hook up the resistor, and then have a problem and overpower the resistor, burn it up. All right, so when I get my voltage on, all right, I'm going to put it to about 3 volts. All right, now the meters in here are not very accurate. All right, so we always want to make sure we're using our multimeter to actually come up with the voltage and current measurements. So I'm going to turn this to voltage. You see I have it plugged into the right spots for voltage. And I can just set these probes right in there. All right. And you see I have 2.95 volts. All right. Oh, I can crank my voltage just a little bit more. Whoops. Define 2.95. Whoops, I'm using the coarse, so that's why it's not going so easy. So there we go, 3.02. All right, so for our first reading, we're going to have 3.02 volts. Now, we don't really need a voltage measurement for this because we're going to actually keep voltage constant. So in your data table, it's going to look like this. And the first column is initial voltage reading. That would be my 3.02. So I'm going to try to maintain 3.02 volts for everyone. And as we do each measurement, we're going to fill out this voltage, although we're not going to use it for anything other than to verify that we kept the voltage the same every time we took a new measurement. So there it is. So I have my voltage, and all I have to do is make a current reading. So I have a 10 ohm resistor. I'm using 3 volts, and I want to make a current reading. So if you remember how to make a current reading, we take the multimeter, switch it over to current, move the red lead here. Now, when we do current, if you recall from previous discussions, we say that current runs through a circuit. So that means we have to actually make the current go through our multimeter. So how are we going to manage this? Not too bad. So we pull this lead out right here. All right. We can put this in where that was. And then just touch these two together. So if you look at that, that gives me a current of 0.28 amps. All right, so we're done. So for our 10 ohm resistor, all we need to put in our data table is 0.28 amps and just verify that the voltage was held constant, and we're good. All right, on to another piece of data. So all we got to do next is put in a different resistor. This one happens to be a 7.5 ohm resistor. So what are we going to do? We're going to hook up the 7.5, the red and black terminals. Put my posts in there. Move my meter back to voltage. Boom, 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 boom. whoops, measure the DC voltage. Right smack dab at 3 volts. That's close enough to what I had before. I think I had 3.05 or something like that. So I'm at 3 volts. My voltage is staying constant. These will vary a little bit depending on the resistor that you're using. So I got my voltage constant at 3.0 volts. Go back to current. Move it over to amps. Move these two guys again. Whoops. Unplug. Put that in there. There we go. And I have 0.39 amps. Put that in my data table. All right. So you don't have to do these in any order. So you'll be using a 2, 3, 4, 5, 7.5, 10, 15, and 20 ohm resistors. So once you get all of your data, I want you to graph resistance and current. If you recall, the independent variable goes on the x-axis, which is resistance, because that's what we were changing, and your dependent variable is current. Again, the only reason we have the voltage reading is just to verify that we maintained an even 3 volts on all of our labs, or all of our tests. That's it. Once you have your data, go through the analysis and the questions, and you will discover Ohm's Law. Make sure when you're done, all right, as you should with all electronic stuff, is turn everything off, the power supply, the meter, and so forth, because we don't want to leave stuff running overheat, and we're not going to get stuff hot enough in here to cause a fire, but we could ruin equipment if we're not careful enough. All right.